This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the DailyFX Forum.
So here are the four pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, and the Euro Swiss. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. If you recall, during the past several sessions, I've been using this simple resistance line on top. The one thing I don't like is the penetration up here, as well as this simple support line, which I added a few reports back. And we can see prices right now are directly in the middle of that range, so I really don't see any imminent trade setups over the next 24 to 48 hours. Again, if prices come up to that resistance line, we might look to get short with a stop maybe 20 to 30 pips above the line. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi. And if you recall, during the past several sessions reports, I've been mentioning this doji candle here. I mentioned the trade recommendation to short at 28.05 with a stop at 28.55, and we can see that the pair has sold off significantly. I did mention during yesterday's report to go ahead and take profits on half the position. Let's say if you had two standard lots or 2 million, you might take a 1 million off the table, something like that. And right now, with prices about 25.80, I might look to take the remaining profits if prices come down and test this low right here, which is about the 25.30 area. So maybe call it about 25.40, 25.50 to go ahead and take profits on the remaining lots in that trade. And again, once that does happen, I'll update any imminent favorable risk reward setups at that point in the pair. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and again, this is just the inverse of the Euro Pound, and this is the support line with the Euro Pound that would be the resistance line. And again, the reason I keep both of them up is because sometimes prices come down on one pair and touch a technical level while they might not do so on the other, and obviously they're very strongly inversely correlated. So right now, just still waiting for prices to come down and test the support line here. The next chart is the Euro Swiss, and hopefully you were able to get into this trade as prices did come up to that 51.30 area over here. I have been speaking about 51.30 for the past several, I would say 7 to 10 reports now, and prices came up twice to that area and have sold off a little bit, but again, these moves are very small. There's something very odd going on here with the pair, and that's why personally I am on the sidelines. But if you did enter near that 51.30 area, I believe during yesterday's report I mentioned 51.25 with a stop at 51.50. I would keep that trade on, and again, look to take profits about the 50.75 area in this range right here. The next chart is the Euro Aussie, and if you recall, during the past several sessions or reports, I've been waiting for prices to come down and test that 61 figure, actually penetrate beneath it. That's what I was calling for, and that is what did occur. But I did mention a trade setup entering at 60.90 with a stop at 60.40, and we could see during yesterday's session that prices actually got down to 60.34. So if you did enter on that trade, you were stopped out. And what I would say right now, we could see that prices did hold a little bit. The one thing I like to see with head and shoulder patterns or inverted head and shoulder patterns, and one of the reasons I like these patterns is usually when the right shoulder holds, it holds within a few pips. And obviously that did not happen here, as we've had significant penetration of about 30 to 40 pips on the downside. So moving forward, I'm personally probably just going to walk away from this trade idea in general, because again, I like to see these levels hold within a few pips. With that being said, the low of this candle again is 60.34. I might look for prices to come down maybe about the 60.50 or 60.45 area, and maybe take a small shot at that point with maybe a 25 pip stop. And again, that might be for a little bit more aggressive traders, but again, I just don't like the penetration here. Usually when these levels hold, they do so within a few pips. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the DailyFX. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the DailyFX forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner, I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as DailyFX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. Obviously, my username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.